Hello children, these are few more poetic devices. Listen it carefully and try to understand it properly. Another example, the duck and the kangaroo. Good gracious, how you hop. Good gracious, how you hop over the fields and the water too. Here you see these words, good, you, hop, over, to. Here which sound is heard? Here O, vowel O. So this here again, which device is used? It is assonance. So what is assonance? Assonance is the repetition of a vowel sound within a sentence. Hyperbole. Hyperbole derived from a Greek word meaning overcasting. It involves an exaggeration of ideas for the sake of emphasis. It's a device that we employ in our day-to-day speech. Like day-to-day also we tell many things or just exaggerate to lay emphasis. Like suppose if you meet a friend after a long time, you say, "It's been ages since I last saw you." Now you may not have met him for 3 or 4 days or a month, but then the use of word ages exaggerates this statement to add emphasis to your weight. Some common examples you can say, your suitcase weighs a ton. Your suitcase weighs a ton. Here it is very heavy, means the suitcase is very heavy and you are saying your suitcase weighs a ton. Or you can say she is as heavy as an elephant. Now she is a bit healthy and then you are saying she is as heavy as an elephant. Or when you say I am trying to solve a million issues these days. Suppose you are very busy or somewhat you have lots of work. What do you say? I am trying to solve a million issues these days. Now this is hyperbole because you are creating a humorous effect by an overstatement. Don't confuse it with simile and metaphor. It does not make comparison. In fact, it is just exaggeration to lay emphasis. Like in Ozymandias, when it is said, "My name is Ozymandias, king of kings." Here again they have used hyperbole because Ozymandias, what he is referring himself as? King of kings. Means he is exaggerating to lay emphasis. Okay, so this is hyperbole. The next literary device which we will see today is synecdoche. It is a literary device in which a part of something represents the whole, or it may use a whole to represent a part. Synecdoche may also use larger group to refer to smaller group or vice versa. Here see, for example, we say calling a car wheels is synecdoche because it's a part of a car. Its wheels stands for the whole car. See, for example, when we say writing is my bread and butter, the word bread here refers to the food or money. Okay, like suppose we say the word sails, it refers to the whole ship. The word boots usually refers to soldiers. The term Coke is a common synecdoche for all carbonated drinks. The word glasses refers to specs, the specs which we wear. Now here you see in this poem Ozymandias, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. Here the hand that mocked them. Here this hand refers to the sculptor who made the statue of Ozymandias. And heart here refers to King Ozymandias. Now here the sculptor had made that statue of Ozymandias so nicely. The expressions were given so properly. So here, hand doesn't mean only the hand, it means the whole sculpture. Here, hand is used to refer to the sculpture. And heart, names are not given, but then you can understand it. Heart, it refers to King Ozymandias. So this is synecdoche. When a word or a phrase in which a part of something is used to refer to the whole of it. Imagery. Imagery is a language, or it's you can say a device which is used by poets, novelists and other writers to create images in the mind of the writers. Means you just read those lines and that scene you can see. It creates a sensory effect. It can be visual, it can be auditory, it can be olfactory, it can be gustatory, it can be tactile, it can be kinesthetic, it can be organic. Okay, like you just listen to these lines. The night was black as ever, but bright stars lit up the sky in beautiful and varied constellations which were sprinkled across the astronomical landscapes. Now again just listen again. The night was black as ever, but bright stars lit up the sky in beautiful and varied constellations which were sprinkled across the astronomical landscape. Now, when you listen to these lines, what do you experience? You see, you just visualize the night sky, and you can see it is bright with stars. Varied constellations are there and different patterns. Okay, again, now listen to these lines. Here, this is imagery through using sounds. Silence was broken by the peal of piano keys as Shannon began practicing her concept. Here, auditory imagery breaks silence with a beautiful sound of piano keys. Again, using scent. She smelled the scent of sweet hibiscus wafting through the air. Its tropical smell, a reminder that she was on vacation in a beautiful place. When you listen to these lines, you automatically experience the scent of hibiscus, and it describes a scene which is very relaxing, warm and welcoming. Now again, you just listen to these lines, you will find, or you can imagine, and this is imagery using taste. The candy melted in her mouth, and swirls of bitter-sweet chocolate and slightly sweet but salty caramel blended together on her tongue. Okay, now here flavors. You, the reader, or you almost experience the deliciousness directly. So these are known as imagery. Now here you see, this is an example from the poem The Frog and the Nightingale. But one night, a nightingale, in the moonlight cold and pale, perched upon the samyak tree, casting forth her melody. Here what you can imagine, it's a scene of night which is very cold, and the sweet voice, the melodious sound, singing of nightingale is seen, and the nightingale is singing on the branch of the samyak tree.
Mama.
Onomatopoeia. It is defined as a word which imitates the natural sounds of a thing. It creates a sound effect that mimics the thing described, making the description more expressive and interesting. That means it is the usage of sound words to create a dramatic effect. Examples you see. Once upon a time, a frog croaked away. Croaked. Here the poet used the word croaked, which is the sound made by the frog. Again, when you see that poem, The Brook, I chatter over stony ways in little sharps and trebles, I bubble into eddying waves. I babble on the pebbles. Here the word chatter, trebles, bubble, babble, these all are showing flowing water of a spring. Now when we say the gushing stream flows in the forest, it is gushing stream means the sound of a gushing stream. It makes the expression more effective. Like when we say the buzzing bee flew away. The buzzing bee. We could have said the bee flew away. But to make it more effective, we use that sound word. The buzzing bee flew away. Or when we say the sack fell into the river with a splash. Now when you throw something into the river, then the splash sound comes. We could have easily said it as the sack fell into the river, but that would have been only a simple sentence. To create a dramatic effect, we say the sack fell into the river with a splash. Again, we can say the books fell on the table with a loud thump. The rustling leaves kept me awake. These are all examples of onomatopoeia. Oxymoron. An oxymoron is a device containing words that seem to contradict each other. It's often referred to as a contradiction in terms. Now here the words are not opposite to each other like it is an antithesis, but their meaning is opposite. Like suppose I say alone together. Alone together. So they are contradictory statements, contradictory terms. So this is oxymoron. Bitter sweet, dark light, sweet sorrow. Now suppose if I say we are busy doing nothing. We are busy doing nothing. Busy and doing nothing, they are contradictory terms. Okay. Now suppose I say no one goes to that restaurant anymore. It's always too crowded. No one goes to that restaurant anymore. It's always too crowded. Now if nobody goes to that restaurant, how can it be crowded? Again, contradictory terms. A joke is an extremely serious issue. A joke is an extremely serious issue. Joke is what? Something which is very light, which makes you laugh. But here if I say a joke is an extremely serious issue, what is that? That is oxymoron, where contradictory terms appear in conjunction. Again, some examples. Why then, O brawling love, O loving hate? Here brawling and love, they are used together. Brawl means to fight and love means the affection. So here what is used? It's oxymoron. O heavy lightness. Heavy lightness, they are written together. Heavy means which has more weight and light means something which has less weight. So what is the device used here? It is oxymoron, because two terms, they are contradictory terms and they are placed close to each other. Personification. Now personification is that device which a poet uses to make a thing, an idea or an animal. When these things, they are given human attributes, means the non-human objects are portrayed in such a way that we feel they have the ability to act like human beings. Suppose when we say the sky weeps. Sky, can it weep? Can it cry? No. But when we say the sky weeps, that means we are giving the sky the ability to cry, and crying is a human quality. So what we are personifying sky over here when we say the sky weeps. Okay. Now here again, when we say The flowers danced in the gentle breeze. It means, in simple sentence, the flowers were moving and the gentle breeze was blowing. And what we are saying is, the flowers danced in the gentle breeze. Now flowers, they cannot dance. Dance is the attribute or quality which can be done by human beings. Now when we say the flower danced in the gentle breeze, means we are portraying flowers in such a way that we feel that they have the ability to act like human beings. Again, when we say time and tide waits for none. The fire swallowed the entire forest. The fire swallowed the entire forest. Again, listen to this sentence. Look at my car. She is a beauty, isn't it? A car cannot be a beauty. It can be good, it can be beautiful, but when we are saying she is a beauty, she is a beauty. Now, she is a beauty means we are personifying that particular car. Then, suppose if I say, just listen to this sentence. The tree was pulled down. Pulled down means it was cut. And the birds lamented over its dead body. And the birds were crying over the dead body. So this is what? This is all personification. Okay, now see here example. When mirror, we are saying, I am silver and exact. I have no preconceptions. Whatever I see, I swallow immediately. Here the poet has personified what? A mirror. Because here the mirror is describing itself. And all the qualities you can see it is of human beings. Again, when you see this poem, the Song of the Rain, I am dotted silver threads dropped from heaven by the gods. Nature then takes me to adorn her fields and valleys. Now, can you tell me what the poet has personified here? The poet has personified rain. Because the rain is describing itself as dotted silver threads from heaven. So, this is personification, means to give human quality to an object or a non-living thing. I hope you have understood these devices, these poetic devices. Thank you and have a nice day.